Welcome back, Festival fam. Welcome back to another episode of Festival Tales Podcast. I'm your host, Vibe with Ade.
It is Babs. What's up?
We are just chilling on this Monday. We hope you guys are having a good Monday so far. We got another story for you. Juicy topic to talk about relating to relationship issues at music festivals. So this is an anonymous story that we got sent in.
Big yikes.
Yeah, before we get into it though, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, all that jazz. Rate us on Apple Podcast if you can. Leave us a nice little review. Give us 5 stars, all that jazz. And also send us in your stories. We definitely need your guys' stories. If you've already submitted before, you can submit again. Get your Ray fam to submit. Put it in your Ray fam chat. Talk about whoever had the craziest time or something.
I say we all have our Rave fan chat, so I know y'all can put it in there and get at least 2 more stories added easily.
Throw some shade, whatever you want to do. Call out
the
someone.
Extended Rave fam, something. Yeah, get it going.
Get it going. Is that all we have?
That's it. Let's dive into this story.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Here we go. Hey guys, first off, I want to thank you both for putting this podcast together. You guys have the best vibes, and I love hearing everyone's stories every week. It's much needed nostalgia right now. Thank you. Anyway, my festival story is about something I guess I could say I regret that I'm sure a lot of people could relate to. It's about having relationship issues during a festival, ... Not fun for anyone. Agreed. So back at EDC 2017, it was my first time attending the festival in a relationship, and my boyfriend was back at home. So you could say I was a little homesick and missed him throughout the event. It's always tough when your partner isn't on the same things as you. Isn't into the same things as you, sorry. But nevertheless, he was super supportive of me going. We stayed in touch all weekend, not as much as I'd like, and I could definitely tell he missed me. It was tough to stay completely present, to say the least, which brings me to day 3 of EDC. My group and I stupidly decided to redose on substances that night. In parentheses, I know, I should know better, but this was my first time I ever did something like that.
Ooh.
We had already taken our stuff earlier in the night and then decided to take a tiny bit more around 2 a.m.
Just a little. Everyone wants just a little bit more at the end of the night.
On the final night of EDC, too, because you're always like, it's okay, like it's the last day, let's go out with a bang.
We can't bring it home with us on the plane. We might as well.
Super unnecessary, but it is what it is. At that point, after 3 days of raving, my body hit complete exhaustion. Yep. We went to Cosmic Meadow to see a set around 3 a.m. and my energy level was non-existent. I stupidly made the mistake of turning my Wi-Fi on and started texting my boyfriend as he was just starting to wake up for work. Let's just say the conversation made me super sad and it completely took me out of the event. I felt like I was texting forever and must have looked completely depressed. In parentheses, 3 days of taking substances also contributing to my mood. So my friends started trying to snap me out of it and kept telling me to put my phone down. In my head, I knew they were right and knew they meant well, but I started getting irritated at them for telling me what to do. I hate myself for ruining the end of their night. I eventually put my phone away, but the damage had been done. I was over the event and wanted to go home. Just writing this makes me want to go back and slap myself for making those decisions and taking that night for granted. Moral of the story is sometimes it's best to just be present and leave your phone off for the weekend to fully enjoy yourself and not feel guilty. Also, don't redose. Your body can only handle so much. And my come down the days after was horrible. Thank you guys for reading my story. I hope others can relate. Ade and Babs, I'd love to hear your takes on relationship issues at festivals. Thanks. With a heart.
Let's get into it. The redosing thing's funny to me. I think that's something everyone goes through. I don't think I don't think anyone should beat themselves up for it. I think that's something everybody does, especially when they first start it. They just you just don't know. You just don't know. And your come down will or whatever. Your come down will be horrible. So you learn your lesson pretty quick.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of learns their lesson after doing that.
Yeah. I mean, from your story, to be honest with you, it didn't sound like you had any, relationship problems at the time. I thought there was going to be actual issues that were coming up. Like I thought the story was going to be something like we went to the festival together, we were arguing the whole time, like yada yada yada. Like that's what I thought. Personally, you know, I don't see that. I don't really see your story as an issue because like one, like he gave you the proper space, like you were gone and he was like, go have fun this weekend, and like of course you texted, I'm sure both of them texted here and there, yada yada. And I mean, at least we're not hearing. He didn't sound like he said anything bad to you or anything. So it seemed like you guys did a great job of like giving each other space, and like he was letting you have fun and kind of like letting you, you know, text him as you please. I would say that's something. I've gone to festivals without my significant other in the past, and that's something that, you know, and vice versa. She had gone to shows without me, and it's like something that I think there's a great balance between. You should have a great balance between is like letting them have fun, and them, you know, on the flip side, like they should respect you enough to message you here and there. But I don't think it's on you. If you're the person staying home, I don't really think it's on you to blow their phone up or whatever. And I'm sure there's people out there that have been through that. But at the same time, I do think it's proper that if you're the person out, you should show the proper respect to the person staying home. You know, kind of fill them in. Just, you know, not again. You don't have to text them the entire time because I think if they like you and a lot and all that, they want you to have fun. So they just expect like a, hey, I'm at the venue. Going into the venue, might not text you for a while. Okay, bye. And I know me personally, I'll be like, have fun. Like I'm gonna be like, just go crazy, and let me know if you need me. You know, type of thing.
Yeah. I think I could only see this causing an issue if maybe like when she did text him, if she was feeling super like emotional and texting him, and then him feeling like I can't do anything because I'm like wherever I'm at.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think of that like could have been an issue, is that like I remember with one of my exes when we were supposed to go to Electric Forest 2018 together, and right before, the week before, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, maybe it could be a story one time, he got mono the week before.
Oof, that's rough.
So like he was supposed to go to that festival with me, and literally like the week of, the whole plan was that he was going to travel to Chicago for a conference that he was going to be in town for. He got to Chicago, got mono, like realized he got mono, got tested and everything, hopped on a plane back to Austin, and then like he couldn't go to Forest. I was in the clear and could go to Forest, but then like I was checking in with him at the festival. We were also newly in a relationship. Like we had just started officially dating. This was probably like a month or two into our actual relationship. And like I would check in every now and then, but he kind of was like, you know, like I like you that you're checking it, but it also just sucks like FOMO wise that like I can't be there with you. So like he was not really wanting to hear a whole lot about the whole festival because he was supposed to be there.
Okay, I get that. I get that in a sense of like you don't want to be overbearing, like, oh my god, this was great, and they're like, thanks, I was in my bed like dying today. Or whatever, you know, whatever the issue is. Like I totally get that. But I mean, like in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that story or your story even or that bad. I get like small things where it's like it sucks, but like that's easily overcome. Because like, I mean, I don't know if anyone's been with like toxic people during like like toxic relationship people at a festival. Like that's a whole nother level of like like bad relationships at a festival. Like I thought that's where that story was gonna go, because I've had people where like we don't know if they're dating or if they're not dating, and like you just don't, you're like, it's very uncomfortable because like you don't know like what's going on with the two of them, and you're like,
I've had that.
Like or you like kind of know that they're arguing and they've argued before, and it's like, all right, where is this going? And I don't know, we've had some questions. I'm trying to think of like people in our group that we've had that like were dating, and nothing was bad, but I mean I've definitely seen where other people are like flat out arguing at each other, like yelling, and it's like, all right, I don't want to be a part of that either.
That same ex made me cry at Austin City Limits.
Aww.
It was so sad.
It's horrible.
It wasn't even anything like I did wrong. He was just like, he was being very like weird and just off with me. And I was like, what's going on? Like, I'm just the type to ask like flat out, like, what's going on? And like, uh, the whole weekend I felt kind of weird. And then he was just like, after Fisher, he was like, you know, you could sometimes just put the camera down or put the phone down. Cause I was like getting footage for like the vlog or like for social media and stuff. And I was like, I really don't feel like
You're
I
like,
do
this is
that a
my
whole
life.
lot. Huh?
You're like, this is my life. This is how I make a living.
As he says that when he has a free wristband to that festival because of the content that I produce.
Oh yeah, I'd be pissed.
You know, I was kind of like taken aback by it. And when I get really mad, I just start crying. Like, I'm not even like sad. I'm just like, I get so like infuriated that I just start crying because I'm just like so like overwhelmed.
You don't want to yell, so
it
just bottles out another way. You're like,
yeah. And I've never told this story before, but like we were with our two friends and like he started telling me all this, and like my two friends that were literally visiting me in town, they go to Lizzo, and me and my ex go and see Lanny, who I was so excited to see. And I was just sitting there just like crying, and he was like, I'm sorry, like, but that's just how I felt all weekend. And I was like, you could have told me this on like day one, and then you like, why did this have to bottle up? You know
or tell me the night before, or tell me, don't tell me at the festival. All right, that's something we could say. It's like proper, I guess, relationship festival etiquette. Like, try to not, if you do have an issue, which I mean, I get, like, things come up, especially if you're under the influence, like something might have stuck out to you more. Yeah. And best for one, not to let that bottle up, but two, not to like say that at the festival. Yeah. You know, like try to talk about it afterwards outside, or the next day in the morning, like before you go. Like there's times to bring it up and times not to bring it up. Because again, like, I mean, I'm sure I've always seen those like Twitter memes about like the couples arguing and stuff like that. So I'm sure people have seen like toxic couples like arguing, flat out arguing and shit, and like that's way worse. And you don't want to, first off, you don't want to be those people because everyone's like looking at you like, what the fuck? Like, this is supposed to be good vibes and you two are yelling for no reason. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's something we could add, is that's proper-ish etiquette, like trying to mention it before, you know, whatever.
Do it outside of the festival. Do it after, like, you guys aren't on anything or like, you know, under the influence of anything. And I would like, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was like, I feel like just that goes for like with anything with relationships typically, is just like, if it still is bothering you, then the next, like, if it's still bothering you, then give it like some time to just like think it through, you know, and then like come at it with a clear head when you talk to that person about it. This issue had been festering for 3 festivals, I guess, and he just decided to talk about it at that festival in that moment. And I'm like, this could have been handled. And then the rest of like our festivals, like circuit, I guess, for the fall festivals, I was super self-conscious about getting content at festivals, which is like, I shouldn't have to feel like that.
Yeah, which is what you like to do. Right. Yeah.
But that's anyways, what are you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I think I was gonna bring up of like, that's something you like when you first go to a festival with your significant other, you might not, I mean, especially if it's your first time with going like to an event with someone, you might not know what you like or don't like, and you maybe use that as like your basis of what you like and don't like. But then, you know, afterwards you could talk to them like, oh, you know, I really liked when we did this, or yada yada, you know, XYZ. You kind of fill it in as you go, but like you guys can come up with a game plan like on how to make the best experience for one another, in a sense. So like you can go to the festival next time and be like, hey, you know, like I really liked when you would like hold my hand, or like, you know, just I don't know, I'm just like, maybe like, hey, come, you know, like come back and like give me a kiss and go off and do your thing. Like, oh, I like when you just like check, like do your thing, and then like you can go do your thing. Or like the other person might have something like, hey, I liked when you would put me on your shoulders here and there. Like, all right, like you're cool. And then you just like make a mental note of like, this, I'll do this and to make your experience better, and you'll do that to make my experience better. And then next thing you know, you're both just having a great time. You don't have any of those festival issues. So that'd be some other advice I would say. Like, come up with things that if you know you like mention it, and I'm sure they'll do it. Like, I'm sure if they really care, they'll do it, you know? Like,
communication is key, honestly.
Yeah. And this does, like, I would say this goes for being, like, under the influence of, like, drugs and alcohol. Like, don't, you know, you brought up a point of, like, don't let it fester, but, like, also at the same time, like, maybe take a little time to cool off, like, depending on what it is. And that's something that I think is very important too, is so many times, like, you know, not necessarily on drugs, but like you see people like get in arguments when they're like drunk and stuff like that, and it's so important in my head to like let that cool off, because like you're just under the influence, you just have no idea sometimes what you're talking about. Like, it can just be like you're just arguing in circles, and you're like, nothing's getting done, like everyone's just getting mad, like, and it's so much easier to be like, hey, you know, like, I'm upset, but like, let's just talk about it tomorrow, and and state why, like, hey, I want to talk about it, so like we know, you know, we don't have bigger issues. Like, I don't want to make a bigger issue. Like, I'm having a good time. You know, I don't know. That's another thought.
And sometimes being under the influence like causes you to bring up the stuff that you're too scared to bring up. And so if you like are scared to talk to that person about something, then maybe that is a good time to bring it up before, you know. And if you feel like you can't openly talk to someone about certain things, then that could also be an indicator too of the type of relationship you have and how you could work on that. But bringing it up at a festival is not the time.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm trying to think of other things. Yeah, we've had it in our groups, like, where Freaky Deaky, I was going with a couple to Freaky Deaky with. It was us, two couples going together, and the guy in the relationship, he got really drunk and then was just like yelling at my friend, and she just took it. She just like let him have it, and then like he just ran off and disappeared. He left the festival, and then he somehow made it back to our hotel somehow.
Oh my gosh.
It was just completely insane. But that was like, he had some other stuff going on and brought that into the festival, you know, and just was trying to like let it go, and then just got super drunk. Like, they ended up being fine and they're still together. But that was my first time I've ever seen that happen at a festival. And I was just like, I don't know what to do.
I think that's pretty important too. You kind of just brought up a point as like, if you have other stuff going on in your life that might affect you in a certain way, one, try to talk about it before you go to the festival, and maybe give your significant other like a heads up, like, hey, like, this is going on in my life and yada yada. Truthfully, if I were to tell you, be like in full honesty, not everyone's gonna do it, but like, don't, you know, if you have something that's that dramatic in your life, probably don't do stuff. Like, probably best not to do that. I mean, still go to the festival, still have fun, but like, maybe best not to be under the influence in that case. I know that's probably not what's going to happen. So in that case, you know, in other words, like, I would say definitely get that out beforehand. Like, I don't know if it's just work's been ass, death of a family, or who knows. Like, I don't know what it could be. It could be a variety of things. But yeah, I mentioned that maybe before. Like, you know, I'm super stressed. I just want to have a fun time. Like, but I'm letting you know beforehand. Like, I'm just stressed about X, Y, Z. You should know. And then they're gonna be like, okay, yeah. And then I'll try to do my best to like make it better. And, you know, if you want to sit out and talk about it, we can, but like, I'm not gonna, yeah. That's all I got.
No, I definitely agree with that. I just had a really like good thought, I guess, about how when we all come back to festivals, you guys are going to be in such good hands because of Babs and I. We've been giving you guys some top tier advice. Like, every episode we have like some good advice about like whatever. So you guys are just going to be so well off when you go back to festivals, thanks to us. Not to like pump ourselves up more.
Not to brag, but you know, we're kind of changing the culture like one podcast episode at a time.
Today you guys are in couples therapy. Like, send in any stories if you guys need help.
Yeah, I want to hear like one toxic story. That sounds bad. It sounds kind of like devilish, but I want to hear one.
I mean, I think it'd be helpful. Like, people that come out on the other side of like toxic relationships.
I want to hear a good one too. I want to hear a good one. I want to hear a bad one. That way we can compare them. And people can learn. That's the main part. People can learn.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you got anything else for this episode?
No, I don't think so. Nope. Thanks for coming to our couples therapy session. Yeah. We got you guys. Don't forget to submit your stories, rate, review, subscribe. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today, Festival Tales fam, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Bye.